Need to improve your club on Ultimate Team? Check out IGGM for safe and reliable coins with the link in the description. Get an extra 5% discount with code NA. What's good, y'all? With this video, I'm going to go over the 4-3-3, and it's specifically going to be the 4-3-3-2 that I based off Arsenal and, their form in the Premier League this year and also last year as well, especially under Mikel Arteta. And this video is a little awkward to make as a Chelsea fan, but now forget all that. I've had a lot of fun with this formation in the past weekend league because it's a pretty good formation for an all-out attack, similar to how Arsenal play, dominating the game, especially in terms of possession and keeping the ball in the other team's half at all times as possible. Getting every single player involved in that attack, from as far as the center backs to the strikers, and ultimately, whenever the game plays in your favor, depending on how these servers are, creating chances on top of chances and shots on top of shots and goals on top of goals. But yeah, I would say this is definitely the most attacking formation or custom tactics I've created, but they're honestly really fun. And as we go straight to the custom tactics, I'm gonna go straight to them. Matter of fact, ultra attacking I have it set to, which is a pretty good representation of how this tactic is. It's a pretty good attacking formation. Although I did say this is like a overload the other team's defense type of formation. I haven't found this formation to be a risk at counterattacks, especially. Not only because one, you can outscore the opponent so you don't have to worry about counterattacks, but more so the fact that even with your defense, they'll still be prepared to defend counterattacks pretty well. When we go over instructions, you might notice that we have a ton of attackers. So this is a formation that you want to play with confidence, really, not really being fearful of conceding. Especially because the reality is, no matter what formation you're using, you're gonna concede regardless. So going out there with the objective of outscoring your opponent and just dominating your game is really what's going to allow you to win more games confidently. But yeah, defensive style balance with 40 width and 71 depth. Now we bring back 71 depth for the first time in a while, and literally the only reason why I found that was a good idea was because once we cross 70, it allows your team to press a lot harder than they normally do. It allows the AI to press a lot harder, and I found that to really represent how we would want to replicate Arsenal's custom tactics in this game. Now, if you have a good center back pairing, you won't have to worry about counterattacks really. Really, when it comes down to counterattacks, it's just a matter of making sure that you, as a player yourself, are able to defend against counterattacks and read them in the moment. Because there's been games where I can get counterattacked, but I can close it down really easily, especially with how this team is oriented to defend a counterattack. But you shouldn't be fearful of that, to be honest. And then build up play balance with chance creation, direct passing. Like I said, this is the meta in every single video. But in all fairness, if we want to replicate Arsenal, best way to do it is with balance and direct passing. It allows for the perfect combination of players coming short for the ball to receive it to their feet and also through runs and behind. And there's no other team that deserves it more than Arsenal would when it comes to FC24. And then we chose 45 width primarily because although this is the 4-3-3 and those wingers can get pretty wide, we want them to still be kind of wide because not only do we not want to avoid compensating playing narrow, because we want this team to still be a little bit more wide and maintain some width, especially with the wingers. But we also want our wingers to get involved in the attack and inside the box as well. So we get a perfect combination of that when we have 45 width. And honestly, I used to be a person that used to think like, oh shoot, when it comes to the 4-3-3 or any formation that has specifically a left winger and a right winger, you have to play a narrow width primarily because other than that, they won't get inside the box for the attack and to get chances to shoot. But I'm really wrong when it comes to that because when I made these custom tactics, my first objective was to recreate Arsenal, so I had to do this. And then I realized it's actually pretty useful because they're still going to get involved in the attack. It's just, you got to give it a shot before you, come to a conclusion. And then 6 players in the box, mainly because like I say in any I can't even talk. Like I say in any other video, you don't need more than 6 in the attack, and like I said in any other video, 6 acts as a limit, not literally how much are going to go in your attack and in your box or in the other team's box. And if it isn't clear from any of my other videos, I just love attacking formations. I don't like formations that are too scared of counterattacks or too scared of allowing the other team to control a game. And especially with Arsenal's tactics, the objective is just to score a ton of goals. And then corners 3, free kicks 2. Like I said previously, corners 3 allows for a player to be at the edge of the box, so you can just pass short to the edge of the box pretty easily. And then you can just pass to someone in the box that'll be wide open for a shot. But when it comes to free kicks, I just shoot as many as I can, so I'm not really tripping about free kicks. And then before I go straight to the instructions, if you're not in my Discord already, you should join it. I really suggest you do. If you need anything from things like evolutions discussions, market, squad building, pro clubs, anything like that, then you can find it with the link in the description. Also, subscribe if you haven't already, because I'm trying to create more and more of these, authentic team custom tactics. And also, if you have any ideas for custom teams that you want me to do, then go ahead and drop that in the comments. But other than that, going straight to instructions, our left wing right here, Actually, let's start at striker just because I always start at striker, but our striker, balance width, get in behind. Now for a pretty big change, what I normally do is I have it on stay central, get in behind, especially when it comes to formations like these. However, the reason why I'm not doing that this time is primarily because when you look at Arsenal, you look at the fact that their number 9 or their strikers aren't prolific goal scorers. You look at players like Havertz and Gabriel Jesus and players like Nketiah even, they're not scoring week in, week out. And that's not because they're not doing a good job as striker, but more so the fact that they, as strikers, are able to play in their wingers and even their center mids into a lot of goal scoring opportunities themselves. And we're able to enable that with this formation by having it on balance with getting behind. Because when we have it on balance with and not stay central getting behind, it's going to allow for a lot of diagonal runs, which these two wingers and then also the midfielders themselves will be able to take advantage of and take that position at a striker. And once that striker makes that diagonal run or any sort of movement that is now open to him because it's not on stay central anymore, he's going to end up taking a center back with him or some sort of defender with him. Or in this case with her because I'm using Mia Hamm. So obviously this player is still going to score goals if you can get the ball to them. But really the objective is for this player to just open up space, especially inside the box, for him to score. Or sorry, for someone else to score. And then our left wing right here, the Martinelli role, you're going to have on cut inside, get in behind. And there's not really too much detail as to why we do cut inside Ben. I can't even talk today. Oh my god. There's not too much detail why we do cut inside, getting behind, but it's more so to do with the fact that when you watch Martinelli, that's one of his signature trademark moves. Because we want this player to dribble inside, going inside, and allow for him to score opportunities himself. As well as being able to link up with that striker in front of him, or to his right. You'll notice that you'll get a lot of goal scoring opportunities with this player right here. And then our right wing right here is going to be on stay forward, and then everything else is going to be on completely default. Now, really, the only bonus to putting, or the only reason why we have him on stay forward is mostly because when we look at Arsenal, we notice that Bukayo Saka steps up a lot more. And it's not to disrespect his defensive contributions or even downplay them at all. It's just more so we want this player to be ready to receive the ball once we get the ball back to begin with. So it's more so just to prepare for the actual attack in itself. So this player obviously is still going to defend and it's still going to be a contribution in defense. But we want this player to stay up, so the moment we get the ball, this player is already, in the movement for attack. However, being on completely default, we do specifically because we want this player to completely be allowed to express themselves the way the AI in this player or this card itself chooses to express itself. So we don't constrain it to any specific instructions. Specifically, we let this player be on complete default, so the AI chooses what's going to be best situationally and contextually. So one moment it might be cutting in and things like that, and the next moment it might be staying wide. When we go into other player instructions, you notice that we have this player being on complete default for a very, very good reason. And it's going to allow the other players to basically play off of that, if that makes sense. And we notice that right away when we look at our right mid right here, our right center mid who's going to be on complete default, like literally completely default, including cover wing as well. Because firstly, when you look at Arsenal, you don't look at them and be like, oh yeah, they have 3 center midfielders, because obviously they literally do, but our left and right mid in these formations or in Arsenal's formations are always going to be a little bit more wide than usual. They're not a narrow team by all means, so cover wing is the only thing that makes sense when it comes to this midfield. As well as with this player being on balanced attack, it's going to allow for him to run in between the lines between Mia Hamm and our right wing right there. I'm not going to say his name because I might ruin it. This player right here is going to make a lot of runs into the box even though they're on balanced attack. And it's really important that you have a well-rounded player right here that is on high especially. And I found Rolfo to be perfect for that. This player is basically replicating Kai Havertz when he plays in midfield at least, because I know he doesn't play midfield every game. But for the ones he does, obviously, this would perfectly replicate him because we don't want to put him on join the attack, because if we do, it's just going to force runs in behind every single time. And we put him on bounce attack because we only want runs to occur, late runs to occur, whenever there's a space or there's an opening. And when this player's on default, it allows this player to look around, especially when he doesn't have the ball. And if he's closed down, this center mid right here is going to have a perfect opportunity to make a run in behind. That's also why we don't put cut inside on that player, because if we did, this player right here is not going to make as many runs in behind as much as we want them to. So it wouldn't really be like a Kai Havertz role, it'd be something else. And then our CDM right here, I want to say Declan Rice, but this is closer to a Jorginho if anything, because his number one objective right here is to just distribute the ball, especially from one side of the pitch to the other. And if you haven't done the Bruno SBC, you've missed out big time, because this is honestly one of my favorite cards this year. I have players like Makalele, Zico, and none of them will get minutes over Bruno, and that's for sure. But yeah, on this player, cut passing lane, stay back while attacking, and cover center. Cover center, I believe, is self-explanatory, but cut passing lanes and stay back while attacking to just make sure this player is just exclusively thinking about defending, especially when it comes to that midfield. which for the most part is a pretty attacking midfield, especially when we get to that left center mid. And as we do right now, Cole Palmer right here, pretty ironic. He's going to be on get forward, stay on the edge of the box for cross, and cover wing as well. Now, the cover wing obviously is because he's responsible for the left side of the pitch. We want to make sure he stays responsible for that left side. However, you might be like, why do we have get forward and stay on the edge of the box for cross? Because this right here is the Odegaard rule. Now, like I said earlier, having get forward but the corresponding winger being on cut inside, getting behind just limits the amount of abilities that that player right there is going to run in between that gap in the middle between the left wing and the striker, and that's primarily because we don't want him to go in the box. When you watch Odegaard, you don't notice him as a cam that attacks the box the same way or the same way Havertz attacks the box. Primarily because we want Odegaard or Palmer in this situation to be focused on making that final pass towards Mia Hamm or towards any other player on the pitch that can shoot right after they receive the pass. So that's where we put get forward, stay on the edge of the box for cross. So in this situation, get forward is to just increase the urgency to just force that player to do something. However, the stay on the edge of the box for cross is because not only can he not really go into the box as much as he can because of that winger being on cut inside getting behind, but because we just want to increase the urgency and the amount of times this player can attack the box. More so for the sake of once we get the ball into the other team's attack, this player right here is always going to be open and always going to be ready to send a final pass, basically. And the bonus here, Cole Palmer has a really good long shot, a really good finesse shot. So if you can get a player here with a really good finesse shot, just in case you cannot find that pass, it's going to be perfect. And then from here, this is where things get really unmeta, but they're still going to be very, very good and very, very reliable. So a left back right here, balanced attack inverted. Now, hear me out. I know inverted sounds really weird, but one, I had to do it because Zinchenko is basically the world's fakest left back. Like, that guy's basically a center mid. But two, this is still also going to be really, really reliable that I noticed. One, because like I said, the urgency and the quantity of this player attacking the box in the attack, your left back right here is going to basically take over that space in that someone just screamed outside. What? Whatever. 1 second. What was I on? Right. In that build up, once Cole Palmer's right at the edge of the box for cross, not only does this player help assist Bruno, but you might be like, oh yeah, inverted, wouldn't that leave a huge spot in the left side? No, because all this player does is tuck in closer to Bruno. However, that space is still going to be covered because one, the wingers on the other team won't be ahead of this player right here. So once the other team gets the ball, he's already going to be back in position at left back before it can be even be taken advantage of. So it's something unusual, but it's still really reliable and it allows to help assist Bruno, especially when it comes to distributing the ball again when the ball is deep in midfield. And it's also just really fun just thinking of Zanetti replicating Zinchenko. And then your right back right here, it's also really ironic that I use Reece James, but balanced attack overlap. Now again, what makes this formation also really good is the fact that this player being on balanced attack and behind a player that is on default basically everything next to a midfielder that's on default as well means this player is just not going to attack every single time, not even sometimes, honestly. This player will only attack that box or only attack the touchline and bomb the wings when you've decided to dribble with that fullback or sorry, that winger, or he made an AI run himself or whatever the case may be. So it only does it situationally, only does it based on context. That also adds another dimension of unpredictability to this formation because you might just be attacking another team, and then all of a sudden, boom, you have Reece James bombing the wing. Because like I said, he's only going to attack the wings when he feels like he can. So to me, that perfectly replicates Ben White because it's not like Ben White is going to be running down the right back position or the right wing position as if he's prime Marcelo or anything crazy. He's only going to go when it's the appropriate time to do so and when he has to support your Bukayo Saka in front of him or whoever you decide to put out right wing. So not only does that make sure that this formation isn't going to be too attacking and be too much of an issue to defend with, because a lot of people are scared to have two fullbacks on attacking roles. However, like I said earlier, we're not using join the attack even. We're using balance attack. And the benefit when it comes to balance attack is the fact that they're only going to attack when they feel like they need to. So not only are you not going to be attacking the wings too much, but when you do attack them, well, one, this player right here is not even attacking the wings, so this doesn't even count. He only turns into a CDM basically. And two, when they do attack the fullback position or the touchline to begin with, they're only going to do it as much as they need. So they're not going to go all the way running down to the end of the pitch and just do nothing really. It's going to be a limited amount that they attack, and when they do attack, it's going to be as much distance as they need. So sometimes you'll notice that they're only attacking, but only a little bit just to be a passing option. Or sometimes they're gonna once your right wing has cut in or whatever, they're gonna bomb the wings by then. That way, you have an option on the width position to begin with. But yeah, that's that position. And then your two center backs are going to be on stay back while attacking. And then your keeper, forgot to set it, that's my mistake, but comes to crosses, sweeper keeper. Now, this formation is definitely the most attacking formation I made. So like I said earlier, it's required that you play with confidence. Don't be scared about conceding, because if you're scared about conceding, you're just going to concede. And the reality is, it doesn't matter what formation you rock, you're going to concede regardless. The reality is this game has unreliable servers, inconsistent gameplay. So the best way to play is to just score as many goals, and if the other player scores, he scores. Especially with all these patches as of late, it's basically impossible to keep a clean sheet. However, with these things being said, I'm not trying to paint this formation as something that's just overwhelmingly attacking and nothing on defense. This is still going to be a really, really good defensive formation. However, I'm suspecting people will be like, oh yeah, there's too many players attacking. I'm scared about the counterattacks. And the way I see it, there's nothing to be scared of when it comes to counterattacks. To be honest, I was having more issues dealing with counterattacks when I was rocking things like the 4-3-2-1. So if you can play formations like the 4-3-2-1 and things like that without having to worry about counterattacks, then this formation is the least of your issues. This video was also pretty hard to make, and also making these tactics to begin with is pretty hard to make because kind of a Chelsea fan, so. But nah, forget all that. Like I said, really good formation. It's also a pretty underrated formation because I've never seen anyone rock the 4-3-3 or the second variant of it. But maybe now we'll see huge movement in it. Maybe it might become the meta. We'll see. Now, do I say this formation is the best in the game, or does it replace things like the 4-2-2-2, the 4-3-2-1, the 4-2-3-1? I can confidently say for myself, I would rather play this formation than any of those other ones. However, that's just me, so you would have to try this yourself just to make sure, because I am confident that this would be better for you than the other formations noted, but there's no way to make sure that what works for me would work for you guys. But regardless, I'm absolutely confident this is the best formation in the game for me, and I'm very confident that this formation would be pretty good for the rest of y'all. But yeah, not much more needs to be said. If you mess with the tactic, if you like it, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, and that's all.